One of the first things I need to take off is this lift. It's bolted onto the chassis where the tow bar would normally mount, plus there are bolts at the back as well. I need to get rid of all the hydraulics. Fortunately, as best as I can see, the step can go back on individually. It doesn't seem to be mounted onto the bar that this lift is bolted to. All the electronics are in that slidey up cover hole there, or they were. They've gone. The lift only works manually now via the hydraulic pump, but as I say, it's coming off. On the back there we have LED lights all across, and these lights at the top there are called quadriflares. It's certainly nice and bright at the back. It's got a few little marks. You can see the corner there, and I don't know whether it's going to come out or not in here. No, I'm in the wrong place in the camera. It's got clipped a few places, so I've got to do a few minor repairs on some of the exterior, but I'll do that when I come to paint it something other than yellow. But at the back here, lift off, sort out the missing or the broken door lock, possibly investigate this corner here because I think possibly there's some deformation in the door which I need to correct. Where the lights were fitted, the blue lights, I've covered those up with tape temporarily just to stop any water getting in, because when I first got this, and I'll show you that in a minute, the battery box was full of water. Pause. This is the external locker. It's effectively the back of what we will probably use as our wardrobe. It's about 6 inches deep, so it's probably not really going to be deep enough for a gas bottle. It was obviously designed for some form of stretcher, other bits and pieces in there, but it's a full height cupboard. It's got lighting. It did have a red light there, but that's disappeared as well. But there is still power on those cables, so I shall fit a little light there. It's got its own internal light, and I haven't yet managed to work out whether the light goes on and off when the door's shut. I hope it does. Again, these orange lights are LEDs as well. There are LED, I think they call them scene lights, or whatever. They're a brand called Labcraft. They are extremely bright. I did actually manage to get those turned on. I don't know how I did it, because I couldn't work out how to turn them off. But I did turn those on whilst faffing around with the vehicle a few days ago. The sliding door works surprisingly well. You know, can you consider this vehicle's done a lot of miles and it's probably been used a heck of a lot. Nothing's worn. You'll see there's vents everywhere. I think the air conditioning system draws through these vents, but the vehicle's got vents front and back, large vents. I will explore where they go, because even this cabinet here, this external cupboard, is vented. Obviously if I put a gas bottle there, I may have to do something about that, because we want those closed off. Now I'll show you the other side. So this is the battery box. This vehicle had 2 auxiliary batteries, a radio battery and a lift battery. The wiring diagram only shows 3. It turns out that the auxiliary batteries are just wired in parallel. One of them had the 200 amp fuse for inverter from it, the other one has a 200 amp fuse that goes to the Genesis system, but effectively it's a 3 battery system, just I've got 2 in parallel, and I will use those, worth having. When I bought it, the connector had been removed. This is the Shoreline Connector. This particular vehicle unfortunately is 115 volts, so I'm going to have to modify the mains chargers. Some muppet's got a chainsaw going, unfortunately. I'll have to modify the mains chargers or fit a 240 to 115 transformer, and also as you can see, the socket is removed, so I've already bought a 240 volt socket that I'm going to fit in there shortly. But I haven't actually done a thing to this vehicle yet other than sort out the engine leak, and I thought I'd film it as it is before I do anything else. Now then, the control system. Oh, forgot to mention, lots of rust in there. As I said, there's 3 catches on this door. It's got seals in it, but water will come in if they're not done up. and when I went to inspect the vehicle, only the centre catch was done up. These two weren't. Water had got in. This thing was absolutely full of water, and you can see the rust. There's some surface rust there. I now need to take all these stainless steel battery carriers out and all this, pretty much remove everything. I'll clean up that surface rust, give it a coat of paint. It'd be as good as new. It's not a high priority. It's, you know, the box it's in is very, very strong, but I'll just make it good anyway, because rust, once it's there, you don't want it. Behind the driver's seat, taking the seats out just for access to all this stuff. Behind the driver's seat there are 4 Genesis control boxes. One's a master ECU and the other's what they call output modules. Each one of those is basically a power switch. Takes a input from one of the control panels and turns lights on, operates sirens, whatever. Under the driver's seat, most of that is standard Sprinter. There is a couple of extra boxes in there fitted by, I think it's Carnation Designs they call themselves now, part of Ring Automotive, but most of the Genesis system is housed in that box there. And then on the far side, they're the 2 Voltronic battery chargers. Each one is a dual charger, so that they can charge 4 batteries at once. They're 115 volts and I'll adapt those. This box in the centre, here houses the radio in that compartment there, and that there in the centre is just a cubby hole. I'll be taking this box out. There's a lot of cabling inside there which I need to lose. There's a button there on the floor which was a foot control for the sirens. Fire extinguisher bracket. Very little damage, luckily, to the dashboard. Other vans got holes everywhere. This one, very little damage. Up by the driver's mirror, there is a camera. It's dangling down. I took it out of its holder. I wasn't sure whether it was a camera or not, but it is a camera. There's also a DIN connector up there, which probably went to a display. Again, disappeared. There's a mounting for radio at the top. Some sort of cubby hole in the roof there, which has holders for something. I'm not sure what they were. Speakers for the intercom. Microphones for the intercom. We've got orange seat belts in this one, red seat belts in Thistle, but orange seat belts in this one. And then on the other side, I shall go and show you that. There's a Trimble unit there. That's part of the GPS tracker. That I think was cabled back to what's been removed in the overhead locker in the back where the digital video recorder is. I suspect this had a crash recorder in it. And that's exactly what that is. It's a GPS unit and tracker, and the actual GPS receiver is up there in the mirror. Might be able to make use of that for anything else I fit. Titchy little battery in there, 60 mAh, naff. Absolutely naff. But even that is managed and monitored by the Voltronic battery chargers. This cable here is a temperature sensor. So it will charge the batteries based on their temperature, and also there are cables that the Voltronic uses as voltage sensing, so the Voltronic chargers will push out more voltage, allowing for volt drop in the cables in order to optimise the charge of the batteries. I'm quite impressed with these Voltronic chargers, and I hope I can keep them. In the passenger seat, pretty much it's all ambulance. So you've got isolation for the inverter, and you've got isolation for the 115 volts. You've got the intercom control box over there, and your standard two-tone amplifier there. That's exactly the same unit as I took out of Thistle. Probably everyone uses them, I should imagine. The 200 amp relay there is the main fuse there is the main fuse supply to the Antares panel over there. There's a few other bits and pieces there. There's the control in there for the electric step. The step comes out when the door opens and closes when the door closes. There are cables. There's some coily cables in there. I haven't quite fathomed what they are yet. There's bits and pieces probably where they took the radio out. But what else we got? Got a blind. And that's about it. And then under the bonnet, nothing much to say about under the bonnet. It's just a V6 diesel with automatic, and it's a lovely engine. It's stupidly clean. It may even be a replacement engine. There's zero sign of Black Death, and which affects the injectors on some Mercedes vehicles. There's no oil in the V, apart from the diesel leak, which looks to me was down to some ham-fisted person doing a bad job of changing the filter. It looks lovely. I've since managed to get hold of the service history for this as well, and I know that the Autobox oil was changed 15,000 miles ago. The brake fluid was done 6,000 miles ago. It's not a bad van. I'm quite pleased with it. I've got a very little rust to deal with, other than in the rear wheel arches and the scabs on the doors. It's not bad at all. So that's it as it is today. Next video will be after I've stripped out that box there, all the radio wiring and anything that could short out and cause a mishap, because the next video I want to actually be able to say, this is what I've removed, this is what we're keeping, these are the electrics that work, and these are the things that either are beyond saving or whatever. In the dashboard there's two Cat 5 cables. They're for the Genesis control panel. It's RS485 it uses, I believe. There's some additional wiring in the radio plug. I don't know whether that's for an entertainment radio or whether that was some other device. And there's a DVI cable. They had a touchscreen in this one. Obviously that's all gone, it's all been removed, so I've got no idea what it did or what it could have done. I'll be pulling all that out, but that's pretty much all the wiring I need to deal with at the front of the vehicle is just these cables here, and they look very accessible. So as I say, next video will be what I've pulled out and what we're keeping, and I may make a start on that tomorrow if the weather's nice. I want to bring this up to the point where I will be doing the ceiling in this van at the same time I start doing the ceiling in the other van, ditto with the floor. When I start repairing the floor in Thistle, I will do the floor in this one, and then, you know, if I mix up epoxy mastic, I'll be using it in two places at once. So all about time saving now. Right, that'll do for this video. Bye bye.